Welcome everybody to another office hours. We've got some great things to share and show, but I want to make sure that we answer any questions that you guys have. This is your time to be able to ask questions. How do I, whatever, if it's a bug or something that you think you found, certainly um, bring it up. We don't mind bringing it up, but we may have to set up a separate appointment to actually go through and see your stuff, so I don't share your data, your screen information. So definitely take that into account. But does anybody have, actually, first off, does anybody have some big wins or something that they're really liking about what they're doing inside of SAM?
It's a hard question because I like all the direction we're going. I really have no complaints.
That's great to know. Actually, it, that's fun to know. Actually, more than just great. I really
I think one of the best things that's happening is that you guys are constantly working on making it better.
I just published in my Facebook post the last 60 days and of things that we've updated that were related to AI and not just for AI's sake. There's a lot of people will post stuff about different things, and it's just like, we're slapping in AI for AI's sake, and it's not that. It's more of how can we utilize AI to actually make my business better, and really focused in on trying to do that. But then I went back, created this post on, what were the things that we've done for the past 60 days, and it's been incredible about what we've been able to accomplish. And I just, every day, I was telling Laura earlier, it just every day, just it's fun to come to work and say, what am I going to create today? What's something new that I can do today to help you guys? So
You might have already talked about this in a couple of the meetings I missed, but do we have a connection with Claude yet?
um, it will probably be Monday or Tuesday before I release it. It is coming.
Um, if you're gonna so like we have a paid Claude account that we currently use, and
Okay.
so I'll be able to hook it up to that account, I assume.
Um, it's more like the way ChatGPT. I mean, Claude itself has a monthly fee to use Claude.
Right,
Um,
which I is $20 that I pay every month.
right. There is an API connection which is separate, similar to the way ChatGPT does. You put in your billing account and it does the same thing and it charges it, but it's not much. It may be a couple dollars a month or something like that, depending on how much you actually use it. We incorporated Gemini uh, 3 weeks ago, a little bit deeper, and we keep adding more Gemini features. The goal is to, if you prefer Claude over Gemini, being able to do those same features with Claude. So kind of
Well,
depending on
I
what
guess here's like my question then is that okay, so I have my Claude account and I'm doing all my stuff on it, I'm paying my fee. Now I have an API that's going to connect either Claude or Gemini to SAM, but it's not going to really be accessing the information that I already have in my projects and things like that with Claude. It's a different thing, isn't it?
it's a different grouping of information, but the way we've been trying to deal with both Gemini and even some of the ChatGPT stuff is incorporating what we can from the chat sessions that you've got, but the APIs don't intermingle. What
Okay,
you can do is
that's kind of what I was seeing because I looked at the Gemini one, and then I realized, oh, if you already have an account, you still have to set up a separate API completely separately.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of them
Uh,
are the same way. They're all
okay.
the same way. They
So
give you a
so
they
inherently there's no real advantage then for me to have Claude or Gemini to do the type of things that are currently happening, it
it
seems to me.
you know, it depends on your level, your skill of what you want to do. There's some things that you can just hop on to Claude and do it. Technically, what we could do, and I've not done this yet, is actually make a Claude interface that does the same thing that the Claude client side does inside of SAM. So you can just have a conversation with it and then store it and save it. We've been discussing how we can do that better and make those connections.
Because like inside Claude, there's all these integrations that exist.
Mhm.
Okay. And then like just a perfect example would be Canva. Okay. So we have a Canva account. Claude can talk to Canva, can go and create things. And I was thinking that, well, if I had a Claude and I had a co-work situation, I'd be able to say, okay, access the database through the integration and then build a dashboard that says, um, you have this, or this type of task.
Yeah. Hey,
Does that make
Laura, do you want to?
So the way I understand what I've learned, so there's two different things. You have the API, which is what Workflow Secrets is using, that gives you the connection so you can use Claude to help write your emails, things like that. When we're connected, like my co-work's connected to my Canva, to my Instagram, to all those things, it's called an MCP, which allows co-work to physically access that service. So like Higsworth, I have it hooked up to that, and I can give it a prompt, and it goes and sends that information to Higsworth to create that photo or that video. In order for Workforce Secrets to do that, I think because they're still building the software, every time they do a major update, I'm going to assume that MCP would be broke. Cowork, if you're using Cowork, you can give it access to your browser, and it can. So right now I'm moving all my Trello boards into Notion, but I'm having Cowork do that by giving it access to look at my boards in a window on Chrome, and it's able to see what's there. It's asking me the questions, and then it's moving and recreating that card in my Notion. So that's another way, which is how I got Cowork to work with Workforce Secrets right now. Is I have a form that is a war room. That's what they called it. I don't know why, but
Who called it that?
Claude did.
Claude gave it.
Claude did, okay.
It's called my listing war room. So it has my pre-list, my appointment pre-list, and it has my talking points. It has the list of things to bring and all that, right? And what it's doing now, instead of me manually, because I told Cowork, I said, look, 99% of the time, I already have all the contact information from the seller, the property address, all that inside my CRM. So she created some kind of link, and all I do is I have to be on my Workflow Secrets properties page. I run the bookmark, and it pulls up all the properties and asks me which ones to put into the war room.
Yeah. She has and she shared it with me so that we can incorporate it into SAM. But this may be an older version of it, but
It is, yeah.
It allows you to let me see if it's this one right here.
Yeah, that's the client portal.
Yeah, so here's like a portal for things, and we're doing something very similar, bringing data in from SAM to do this. However, what she brought up was the MCP server, which is something that I'm in the middle of making our own MCP server so that Claude, Gemini, some of these, anything that connects to an MCP server could connect to SAM as well. And we then supply the data to be able to do whatever you're needing to do.
So that document you just had there, Laura, you created that in
That
Claude?
No, well, Claude helped me create it in Lovable.
And what?
So-
Lovable?
Lovable.
Okay.
So that is a client portal website. So that's the seller side. I currently have her starting work on the buyer side for buyer appointments, but I'm still brainstorming what I want on there. But
So does this then like pull information out of SAM and put it into that?
no, what that does is every week I put in a seller update. So instead of just sending them an email, I have the link for their portal in SAM. So when I send the weekly email to them, that link shows up. It's part of the, the insert codes for the email template.
Mhm.
And I just say your portal's been updated with this week's activity. And
I mean,
then
I
they
think
can open it.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm building a portal for you guys to be
Yeah.
able to do this very thing, and using a little bit of her design and make not fully, but giving the same type of content into it, so you guys can choose what you want to display in there and how you want to display it, colors, schemes, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working on doing this. She gave this to me to kind of play around with and and utilize as a kind of a guide on what we're going to do. And once that portal piece is fully set up, oh, it's not turned on. Sorry. I've got a portal item here that will let you see that information. And I think maybe let me just do one thing here real quick. Set up. No, it's not there. I've got it turned off on this account. What you'll be able to do is something very similar in this, but you're basically sharing what information do I want the customer, the client, to be able to see and not see, because there's things that you guys don't want to share with the client all the time, but there's a lot of information that you do want to share: what you've done, what the results of things are, what's been completed, the progress of things, stuff like that, and making that available. And all you have to do then is give them the link every week to bring them here, and then you can have that conversation. There'll be an area where you can have communication back and forth, and that's part of the
Yeah, the whole
No,
goal
I
that I had
piece and
portal
stuff.
was a cradle to grave thing. From the time I have an appointment with them until we close escrow, everything is on that page.
No, I think
We just
that's
don't see it because and that's one of the things I wanted to tell you, Mark. Each section, so like the pre-list, the on market, and the escrow on that portal, I have a toggle button. So I take the pre-list appointment, I toggle that off because there's no reason for them to keep seeing that.
Right.
And then once we're in escrow, I will toggle off the on market so that it just keeps it cleaner so they don't have to scroll down. But I am waiting to fine tune that because working with you to create this inside of SAM, like you said, we can connect it to the routines with those task lists that we create. And those can be part of that portal. And it just shows it checked off and the date that it was completed to kind of show other things that we're doing for them.
Exactly. Got a lot of really cool things coming. It's just
okay. I just want to mention a couple more things on that because I think this is like a huge opportunity, missing piece type of thing. And it goes back to talking about a seller report before, but this is like way more encompassing than that. And to be able to provide a link every week in an email that someone can open up that portal is awesome.
Yeah.
A question I have though for you, Laura, is how are you handling like showing information? Do you have an API of some kind that goes to whoever's handling your showings?
What do you
How are
mean?
you getting that information? If you're
So every time there's a showing booked, I'm manually putting it in. I also get an email from our super key. So whenever someone opens up one of my super boxes, I get an email that has their name, phone number, and email address and the date and time they showed.
so you have to manually add that, right?
Correct. And I think for workforce secrets, that's going to be hard to integrate just because of all of us have so many different systems that, that are provided by our MLSs and associations, and they kind of gatekeep that information. So, I mean, if you get an email, I mean, obviously workflow can, incorporate that email into the showing, but, he's adding a tab in our properties detail where we can add in showings.
Yeah, I know
Which can be
that.
populated into the.
But I mean, that's a lot of added manual work to be adding showing information when you get a report. Like, so we used to use, Laura, who do we use before? Showing time.
Showing time.
Yeah, and now we use Broker Bay, and to go and just every showing go and add it back in manually into the SAM is like going in the wrong direction from an AI point of view, it seems to me.
Yeah, so unless they have an API or an MCP that workflow can create, I don't see how they can be put together.
All of those have API connections.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to, once we get this piece released, then we'll make those API connections so that if a new showing comes in, it finds the listing, it updates the elements that need to be updated, and you won't see any difference.
What does MCP stand
for? Master Control Program, I think. I'm not real sure.
Something so complicated like that?
Yeah, something. It's I think it's based off of that movie Tron.
Okay.
All right.
For model context protocol.
That's it.
That's way more official.
Yeah, that is it. Okay, so thank you, Laura, for sharing that. Any other thoughts or questions? I know you guys come to hear me talk every day, right?
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I know I haven't been present in most of these meetings, but going back to the question you asked, what am I enjoying much or the most about SAM is the one-on-one support. So this is me saying thank you, and starting from here, like everything else, it's just like just learning and trying to go back to the videos and check on what I've been missing. But yeah, the support.
Cody and I, whenever we started talking early on, is just like, just like real estate agents have a relationship business with their customers, we need that same relationship, and being able to say, hey guys, what can we do for you in different ways, and being able to communicate one-on-one is important. Being able to identify what's your challenge today, how can I solve that problem? And you can't do that through chat, all the time. It's just so many times you guys have interesting questions, and it takes sometimes us just seeing it on the screen in a one-on-one type meeting and sharing the data and your experience and stuff like that. And to me, that's invaluable, because that gives me the idea of how are you using it. If you're not using it right, maybe I can educate you. But if you're using it in a way that makes sense, it's intuitive, but I don't have it set up that way, let's change it. Let's make it better. So definitely, and I'm actually going to show you a couple of those changes even today, some things that I've made some changes on that I think will help you guys. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Any questions? All right. Speak up if you do. If you have a question, it's like something comes to mind. Oh, hey, Mark, whatever, just speak up and we'll chase that rabbit. So this morning I got a message from Laura Sanowski. Do I say that right?
Sosnowski.
Sosnowski. Okay, I'm sorry if I butchered that.
No, don't worry.
But the email basically said, "Hey, Mark, there are things that are on my calendar that it's cluttering up my calendar, and unfortunately or fortunately, that question has come up before in the past." And my reply this morning was, "Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm almost finished. I'll let you know as soon as it's updated." Laura, it's updated.
Awesome. So how do I change everything that's in my calendar?
So what I want to do, there's several updates that I want to go over. This one is kind of an important one. And while I normally try to go through the updates of oldest to newest, this one I'm actually going to go, it was just released today, this morning. So
Awesome.
Number one, make sure you refresh your browser. Just come up here, hit refresh, and make sure that you're running the latest and greatest update. Now, in your routines, whenever you go into a routine, and I'm going to pull up one that I haven't done yet. I had actually done the birthday one. Actually, I'll go to the birthday one first. So here is a birthday routine that I have set up. It just says first name, last name, apostrophe S. So if it's John Smith's birthday today, it'll just say that as an activity. The key date on this is the birthday. It is an annual item set for 10 years. But this is one that you'd probably want to see on your calendar. But let's say there's things that are automatic, where it sends an email, it sends a text message, it does whatever it needs to do, and you don't really care whether you see it on the calendar or not. This is the update that will help you. I'm going to show it on the birthday one just to show you how to make some changes to the ones that you feel are important. So number one is any activity that you really don't want to see on your calendar. It's automatic or whatever. It'll be, it'll set for auto. Whenever you go in there, we have a new field here for the type. It's a drop down. So you've got birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, different things. These items can be set up and changed in the settings area. So if there's other ones you want to add, these are the default ones. If there's other ones you want to add, you can add them or delete. If you don't want some of these, you can certainly delete them, but they're there available for you. The key here is setting the activity to whatever you want. Now I'm going to set this one to birthday because it is a birthday activity, and I'll click on save. I may do the same thing for an anniversary. So if I go to my home purchase anniversary, or a lead comes in and we do an anniversary, whatever, but it's an anniversary, I probably should set that to annual, unlimited, or whatever. But the thing is on this one here, the default has always been a to-do. We just never let you guys change it. It was always a to-do, so it will always show a to-do. I think if it comes over from Google, it may set it to an activity, but as opposed to a to-do or appointment, I'm sorry, it'll set it to appointment. But most cases, it's always a to-do. In this case, I want to maybe change this to anniversary, okay? And I can click on save. Whenever I do that, I may have, if I was to look at this right now, there's this little icon here on view records running this routine. So I can click on that and I can see everybody's record that's currently running this routine. I can see there's lots of people. I may want to come over here on the right-hand side and say, well, I just set this routine to anniversary. And if I was to go right now and look at any of these activities, let's go to Martha Washington here. And in Martha's record, I go to the calendar and I look at home purchase anniversary, if I edit this, you're going to see that it still says that it's a to-do. It didn't change everybody's that's already created. So if it's already been created, it will use the existing setting, which was to do, in there. However, over here on the right-hand side, you've got your little dot button. Click on that, and you can say update existing activity type. So what this does then is this will go and it'll find all the records, and it'll tell you how many there are, that it's going to set the type of those activities to whatever you have it set at for this particular one. So I can say assign all. So then it goes through and I had 4 of them started. So now if I come back over here and look at Martha Washington, I look at their type for the calendar and the home purchase anniversary, edit that, you'll see that it now says anniversary. So it went through and it updated all my calendar items that were using this activity from that particular routine and put it all in there. Okay. Now, there could be items that you do, like printing of letters, printing of envelopes, or sending emails, text messages, that are just automatic and you don't want them to show up on your calendar. What you could do is on those types of activities, change those to automation, or if there's some other type that you want to differentiate, you can create that in your settings, create that as automation, update those records that already exist using this update process, update existing. And then in your calendar, context, in your calendar, you can go into the settings over here and there's activity types. So like right now, here's a test birthday item. There's a birthday item. There's some birthday items in there. If I didn't want to see my birthday items, I could come over here and say, remove my birthday items. And I can hit apply, or I can say save as default. So it wouldn't by default show it. I currently have the automation item turned off. So all my automations are hidden unless I turn it back on to see them. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So let's say, for instance, I am turning off my birthday and I'm just going to hit apply. You'll see that all those birthday items just went away. Doing it just as a quick on-off type thing, if I leave this screen, come back in, birthday will be reassigned. Unless I click on save as default, then these selected items become the new default view, the new which activities do I want to view by default. You can then come back in and say, well, I do want to see my birthdays. You can turn it on, you can hit apply and see it for that session. You leave, you come back, they would be off again if you set that as your default. You could then come back in here and say, well, go ahead and put my birthdays back on by default, and it would show. So all your automations can now be turned off if they're set for being hidden. Any of these items in here, let's just say, I'm going to go ahead and go back to that birthday one. If I edit that birthday, look at it, you'll see that right there's the activity type, and I can set it to whatever one I want it to be. So you can do them individually. You can do them through the routine as a group. The other thing that you can do is, let's say, for instance, okay, so here's my business card leads. If somebody fills out they view my QR code, my business card pops up and shows, they choose to save my business card information to their phone, I have it set so that it'll ask them for their information. Whenever they fill in their information, it sends it back to me into Sam, and I get their contact information put into Sam. At the same time, it sets this business card lead date. So now I have their information. It set that lead date to whenever they filled out that lead information, and it starts all of these items, which are all auto. It's just like auto, auto, auto. I know it's going to go out. I really don't care whether it shows or not. So maybe all of these need to be updated. Well, up here at the top, if you wanted to do this for everything in the entire system, or certain ones anyway, more than just doing them one at a time, you can come up here and choose assign type here. On the assign type option, you can choose which ones of these you want to be a certain type. You can select them all or unselect them all. And then you can choose them individually, or you can just select them all. You can then say, okay, my activity type on these, I want these to all be automation. There's a checkbox here that says also update existing calendar activities. So if any of those people that filled out my business card that already created activities for each one of these, if I want to update all those existing activities on my current calendar, I can go ahead and check that one as well. And I can say apply type. So now what it's doing is it's going to go through each one of these activities in my routine and create them as type automation. At the same time, it's going out to everybody that is currently running this automation and updating each of their activities to be automation. And doing it all in one big shot. So it is applying. I really need to put maybe a progress bar on this. I thought I had a progress bar. Okay, so now it's set automation on all 5 activities. If I was to go to any of these, so Jose Loco, if I go to his item here, and I go to the calendar, I can see all the items on here. And if I look, actually, I'm just wondering if thanks for connecting. So here's one of the activities that was generated. If I go and I look at it, it's now set for automation. So is the next one. So is the next one. So they're all in there. But now now that they're all set for automation, if I go into my calendar right now for any one of those, those activities are no longer showing on my calendar because my activity type for automations is turned off. If I go ahead and check it and apply, then it would turn on temporarily until they're all shown. Does everybody understand that? Is there any questions about that? This is something that kind of falls under that data cleanup category, but it can be really beneficial so you're not having to go through hundreds or thousands of activities manually and dealing with these. You can do them all in one fell swoop. Any questions? Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. So Laura, your main thing right now is going to be going to each one of those routines that you don't want to be showing on your list, highlight them, change them to be automatic or automation, and then updating them how you want, either as a bulk group or individually, so that it updates all your existing calendar activities. Once that's done, you can go into your calendar and then just turn off automations, and that'll clean it up. If you need help on that, on any of that I just did, we'll set up a one-on-one and we can go through and do it. Or if you just want to send me an email of what you want done, I can help you. I can just do it for you real quick.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. That said, for those people that are on Teams, one thing that I did, I think last Thursday, but before or after the office hours, was I've added the ability to do a reassignment of activities. So like if you've got a bunch of activities, actually one of them might be the birthday reminder. So here's an instance where anytime a contact is given a birthday reminder, it goes on my calendar right now. Well, maybe I want it to show up not just on my calendar, but also Cody's calendar. You could go in there and say, well, let's go in here, edit it, add it to Cody's calendar, and now both of us will get it. At that point, it's viable that, you know, we can go do an update and do the update process. There may be several of those that you want to do where you can do reassignment, where we have a new menu choice here for reassign. And I can do the same thing where I can add multiple items to this list, and then at the same time update the existing calendar activities. So now for anybody that has the birthday reminder, if I hit apply on this for whatever, it will update all the records all at once. So it's really better to do it right here for this. So Mark, so I can do both of these. Oh, the other thing is you can say add the selected. So I just want to add one person to whoever's already on that list, or I can say replace with the selected. So if I wanted to put on there, maybe I want to remove Cody, but I want to add Mackenzie. You know, those types of things, I can say replace with the selected. So it's just these two would get it, or you know, whatever. So it just gives you a way to mass change the assignment of certain activities that maybe you're on a team, maybe you get a brand new person and you want certain activities to be assigned to them that maybe were assigned to a previous user or something. This gives you that tool to be able to do that. All right. So I hope that was all understandable. If not, reach out. We'll certainly be able to help you. One thing that we did go ahead and update the Sam chat. So you can actually ask Sam about these things and it knows about itself. So it should be able to take you through the steps to do it as well. Okay. Templates. So on templates, if you've, I've got a bunch of project ones. On templates, whenever you go in and you create a template, last week we talked about a new feature where a template in the past was either an email or an SMS. We now have the ability to have email, SMS, or letter. Letters typically are longer. They have different contents. They may not have links on them. They look different. Basically the same as an email, but they could look different. Something that I added after last week's office hours, which I think will be beneficial to those people that use letters, is this. Number one, whenever you come into the letter area, if you're doing letters, whenever you have certain things like this in here, a date and dear, maybe you're using a windowed envelope and you want to make sure that you include the address of the person in the letter. So whenever you fold it, stick it in, it builds that in. What you can do now is this little icon here is an insert letter opening where you can choose and set up pre-designed openings. So if you're constantly creating letters that maybe are to the seller, you can create a opening and it will put in all the merge fields and stuff, in this case for the seller. Maybe you've got some that you do for inspectors or whatever. You can set those up, and then once you get them set up, you're good to go. We've added a preview button, so I can click on the little print preview and say, go ahead and do this to a preview, and it will bring it up, and you can see what it's going to look like on an actual PDF that you would print to the printer. It does do the I can choose whether to do merging or not. In this case, it'll go through and do the merge. I had George and Martha Washington as my default. So it puts it in there and puts it all together. So if you prefer or like doing letters, you can now do letters. We've made it easy for you to set up some of the envelope stuff. You can still go through and set up your margins. You can set up your default margins so that anytime you do a new letter, that is the layout or whatever of the letter that you're going to do. And then you can set up any number of, let's say, for instance, you make a lot of letters using the standard window envelope, and maybe you do letters to a property manager all the time, but you type in different content all the time. You could set up a standard quick pick here for property management manager opening and save as quick pick. So it adds it to the list. So now whenever I come over here and maybe I'm starting a brand new letter, I can just come over here and do a quick pick to the property manager and then just start typing, whatever. So it gives you that ability to quickly do letters without having to deal with the whole gamut of setting them all up. Whenever you do print previews and stuff, you can now see the letter version of it as well as the SMS and emails. Any questions on that?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to confirm in the routines and making the letters, my current routine is just one routine to send a letter every 21 days, but there's 4 different letters based on the type of client it is. If it's an online lead, absentee owner, expired, etc. It looks like if I'm going to use the printing inside here, I'm going to have to make those separate routines for those types, right?
Not necessarily. I probably need to take a look at what you're doing, but what you can do is you can have one routine, and on that one routine, whenever you create the action, you can do a conditional message. The conditional message may be based off of the type or something.
Mm-hmm.
The listing, well, let's see.
It'd have to be like source.
Yeah, or source or whatever. And whenever you do that, where are you using that? Is it in the listings or is it a contact?
Seller leads under contacts.
Okay, so that will make more sense. Let me just go to a contact one just for.
So I would just create one routine, but have 4 actions for each type.
So yeah, so you could do a conditional one, and then in this case, I could do
source.
Okay, so if the source, we add a condition, that condition being, let's say we're doing, an affiliate, I would do this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can add another condition that says if it's something else, let's say if I'm just going to grab something, then do this other letter. So you can choose different letters based off of the field value. This is really good for demographics. So if you're sending something maybe to a first-time home buyer versus a move-up seller or move-up buyer, those are 2 different conversations. You could use the same routine, and based off of their demographic, send a different content. Even though it's the same routine, they get different content.
So the current setup under conditional message, I'll be able to assign the letters and not just an email or text.
Yeah. So down here at the bottom, you send what type it is, and you can choose letter.
Perfect.
So however you want to, set those up, you can do some crazy stuff to set up. If there's a condition or something that you aren't able to do that you need, let me know. I can get it added.
Will do.
I chose some of the most common ones, but I may not have gotten all that's really needed. So let me know. Okay. I've got 11 minutes. Okay. So Cody hasn't even seen this one yet.
Let's see it.
A few months ago, I said, okay, I don't know if I can make creating routines any easier. And then I did. And then I did some more. And I keep improving, because the more that I do, the more I realize I can do, and I get in there. Whenever you're creating routines, like if I come in here and I say, I want to create a new routine, I want to create a blank one, maybe I go in and say, and I use this all the time, and I've got so many of these in here. First time home buyer for the contacts, and I can say new lead date. What I've done is I've improved the let Sam build it. In the past, whenever it would create routines, the actions were kind of limited to sending letters, sending emails, making phone calls. Those were kind of the or SMS messages. Those were kind of the basics of what it can do. Sam is now smarter, and it has the ability to add more actions. It can do updates and stuff. So one of the things that you can do here now is we can come in and say something like this. Create a first time home buyer routine that emails the lead every day for the first 3 days, and then every other day for 2 weeks. Say at the beginning, change the status to hot, and tag with first time home buyer. You can get very sophisticated now and be able to do stuff. I can then go in here and let's say emails should contain helpful tips for first time home buyers, and things they have challenges with, whatever. So I'm kind of directing it what I want to focus on my content. So I can click on generate. One thing that it will do is it'll take that statement and it'll build a summary, which we had this before. No big deal here. It does identify things like, second day, third day. Oh, we got some follow-up emails every other day for 2 weeks or whatever. It knows that it's going to build 11 tasks. It only shows 5 in here, but it knows it's going to build more because some of these are like repeating type activities. So it'll go through that. Let's say, for instance, I want to add more steps. I could do that, or edit any of these. I can do that. Once I decide, yeah, it looks good, I can say approve and build. It now goes through and it builds faster because it can build multiple things at the same time. So it starts building all the 11 calculations. You'll see that it did the update, the status, and the tag as a separate action building process, building the welcome emails, a second email, and it's just telling you what it's done. And as it's doing it, it's showing you kind of the status of what's doing it. Before, it was kind of like sporadic pop-up messages. This is what I'm doing, but it was doing them one at a time. Now it can do them multiples at a time to be faster. So goes through. So now it's doing the follow-up emails, 1 of 7. It needs to create the email template for number 1, and then 2 of 7, and going through. I probably could have made this a little bit shorter for the process, but you see the gist of this. It's going through and it's trying to build everything, being consistent with what it's doing and building things faster. We'll let this go through. It is still building the content based off of the context of what the message is supposed to be in your voice and the way you write. So it should be building all of that the way it's supposed to do. It's just giving you better updates and doing it somewhat quicker. Now, what this will have done is created a full routine for this one process that I want to do for a new lead. Most of the time, new leads type things, you're just creating one routine. For entire workflows, I do the same thing where I'm building it smarter. AI now knows, Sam knows about all the different actions that it can do, and it will update those. Now, if you guys get into any challenges with any of those, let me know. But AI's been really good at all the ones that I did test. It's been really good at creating the correct content for the correct field types and everything. So it knows about itself and how it's structured, so it can build its own routines based off of what it knows. Crazy, crazy stuff. So what would have taken somebody, maybe a couple hours to build manually, a year or so ago, which, you could go into ChatGPT and do the same thing and it would create it. Well, then once it created the plan and the content, you'd still have to take all that content and paste it into your CRM. Now, Sam builds it, designs it, builds it, and implements it all in one shot. You can go back through, take a look at all that it built, and then click on done. It then refreshes everything and you can start seeing things. So like the update status and tags piece here, if I click on update status and tags, let's see how well this did it. If we come in here, the update action, it set the status to hot. It added the tag of first-time home buyer. I'm not sure how I can make it any easier, but I'll try. These are things that you would have had to have done after the fact prior to this update, because Sam wasn't aware or didn't know all that it could do, and now it can. So it's making it much more efficient, much better. All of these have their associated actions. The other thing that this does is, because we know that, here's a first-time home buyer's guide, some basic information, it creates the SMS version, and it also creates the letter version as well. So it's creating all different flavors of the same message based off of how you're going to send it. Same message, same context, just different sending method. So all at once there. Now I can come down here and I can let Sam actually describe this. I don't do this at first because you may want to go in there and add some other things or change it. But once you get it the way you want, then you can let Sam describe it, which this can be useful for people that are starting your workflows manually. What it will, it'll show these different descriptions. A better reason is once you put these in here, in the future, I don't have it fully done yet, but in the future, Sam will use these to help smartly start routines for you based off of other context. So maybe not just trigger it off of the date. You could set it up based off of what's needed based off of this. So maybe you've got some people coming in doing different things, and it can look at the context of the description to identify what needs to be done. So that's all new. If you go into the build the routine, the same thing happens as far as the generation piece, but I did this as well. Because of the way Cody and I, something I've trained on for years is my core strategies, the conversions, operations, retention, and experience. Each one of those deals with a certain area. The conversions is mainly your contacts. Your operations is the other things. But let's say, for instance, I go into I'm going to create a routine for contacts. Most of the time, it's just going to be a single routine, no big deal. But we've got now some playbooks that you can use that says, okay, I want to do a buyer lead to close type of workflow, in which case it goes ahead and defines everything. And we have a playbook of all the different things that should be in there based off of what you're doing. Let's say, for instance, for transactions, for brand new agents that don't even know what they don't know, setting up transactional closing processes can be a real bear. Well, now we can go through and identify what do they want to do. They want to create a transactional workflow. Maybe it's a closing process. If it's a closing process through the transactions, am I an attorney state or a title and escrow state? It does know the difference, but if you're in an area that could be either, it will ask. In this case, Missouri varies depending on the area that you're in. You might be in St. Louis area, where Illinois is attorney state, and maybe you deal with both sides. If I do a escrow piece, then it will drive the building of this based off of what escrow states do. So I can come over here and say, create a contract to close with a title and escrow, and let Sam analyze it. So what it will do is it takes what it knows about what real estate agents, and taking my knowledge of the past 36 years of things, and it starts going through and it builds out what it thinks you as an agent should know. If you're a brand new agent, these are things that you probably weren't taught in your classes. You were taught the legalities. This is teaching the business. What routine should I set up? And then once you get this set up, you can then add, edit, you can do all the things. And I'm going to go ahead and do this as a close, but because it's going to take some time to do it. It may take 10, 15 minutes to do this. I'm not going to hold you guys up on this, but I wanted to do this as the last thing. So what this will do now is if I say create workflow, it will now do that same process, but it's going to create 9 different routines. Each of those different routines use different date fields as their key dates. Each of those routines then create different routine elements for the calculations that go into everything. So if it's purchase, if it's notifying your title, these are all different things that you typically will want in your business. And you can go in there beforehand and turn on or turn off any of these, but let it go through, build out your business cycle. Or you can do the same thing and just, if you've got a document, your ops of everything that you do for contract to close, you can paste that in and it will create your entire workflow process from scratch. And it does it smarter now. If you did this prior to this update, it would do some things, but it wasn't nearly as intelligent. It now knows more about what I've trained it on, what I've learned for the past 36 years, about what I've learned from you guys in each of your different states and stuff to build these things. So it's going to go through and build everything. And it's a huge update. It's a huge capability. You can then, once it generates all these, you could then go in and tweak them however you want, make them how you do your business differently. But if you don't know how you do your business, this is a great way to get a full-blown plan that should be very organized in how a real estate agent should do their business. What do you think of that? Thumbs up, thumbs up.
There's a lot there, man.
There is a lot here. Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot to intake. I guarantee you won't understand all of it. But for those people that don't have systems, this will be a lifesaver. For those people that do have systems where you can just paste it in, Sam will do it smarter, building those workflow processes for you if you just paste in or upload the document of your processes, your standard operating procedures. It will now understand them in a much deeper way than it has in the past, taking you that next level. So that said, I think that really covers a majority of what I wanted to talk about. There are some more pieces, some parts. I've run out of time. I will cover some things next week, but a lot of it just has to do with AI elements in the photos. One of the pieces, actually, I could. No, I won't do it.
Yeah, gotta go.
Gotta go. But definitely take a look at those things. If you have any questions, reach out. We're here to help you. So,
all right. Thank you.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.